Today we're going to do a map tour of Boise. So I have my computer here and I'm going to walk you guys through different areas, the north, the east, the south, and the west. We're going to talk about the airport and parks, and we're going to touch on schools and neighborhoods. Hey guys, my name is Craig Flood. I'm a real estate agent here on the Living in Idaho team, and me and my partners get calls and texts every day from people just like you looking to relocate to Boise, Idaho. So if you're looking to reach out and connect, you can check the description down below for our contact information. So first I'm going to give you guys an overview of Boise and the different neighborhoods. So as we look at the map right here, you're going to see the blue area. This is going to be downtown right here. And then for bearings, this is north, obviously, and then right here is the airport. Those are kind of the two major things. Over here, you'll see we have East Boise, and you see the squiggly line right here. That is the Boise River really making that main divide all the way up to kind of Lucky Peak right here. And then over here we have the north end, which is a really nice area. This is going to be the west end, tiny little section right there. Then over here we have northwest. And then we have West Boise and the Boise Bench. And then down here we have South Boise and Southwest Boise over here. Now let's look at some of the roads that are cutting through Boise. Here we have Interstate 84, which comes all the way down here and then heads all the way down to Mountain Home. And then we got 184 that cuts off of that, takes you right into the heart of the city. And if you can continue through the city, then you would hit 26 back up, and that would get you out. Other main connections are 26 right here that cut out, and then also State Street right here, which is on the north side of the river, and that cuts out, and you see that takes you all the way to Eagle. But those are your main arteries that are going to get you around within town. All right, now we're going to zoom in on Southeast Boise, and I'll just kind of share some things about Southeast so you can get familiar with it. So again, here is the Boise Bench right up here. Southeast Boise is highlighted and kind of skirts right here. This is the Boise River that is kind of running its north side. Then down here you have 84, which is running the south side. And you would think that maybe 26 would be running the west side of it, but really it's this line right here. And this line is a geographical feature. And the Boise Bench up here, it's a lot higher than Southeast. And Southeast really drops right here. And in fact, there is a water canal that skirts this edge right here. And so it's really hard for you to get down from the Boise Bench into here. You really can go on this road right here, which takes you down the hill, or you hop over to 26 and take that down the hill, or there's some roads that poke down over here. Southeast is a really unique place. It feels older than some newer areas in Boise. Like for example, over here on the east end, there's a lot of new construction, but here it's a bit more established, bigger trees, really interesting, fun little communities. You could easily buy a house over here and you'd get your own kind of, well, not right there, but you could buy a house over here and you'll get your own like community pool and a private park. Really fun, quaint neighborhoods, sidewalks, really beautiful. And what's nice about this over here in Southeast is that it's on the same level as the Boise River. And so no matter where you live over here, it's not hard to access the Boise River, or specifically the Greenbelt. And the nice thing about the Greenbelt is that it's just a fun and really great area to recreate. You have the trail that essentially is running along the river, and people love it for cycling on, for walking on, for going down to the river and cooling off in the summer, maybe dropping a line and going fishing. But it is a great area. Specifically over here in the Southeast too, there are sections of the Greenbelt that are specifically designated for, that are specifically designated just for walking. Like, so for example, right here, this is walking only, and then it connects up there. Whereas the bike trail, you know, kind of jets into here, and then you cut through this neighborhood, and then you reconnect right here. The nice thing about that is that I could imagine walking on the trail, and it's just nice to know that you're not getting passed by cyclists who are you know, going 5, 10, 20 miles per hour. A lot of this trail too can be gravel. Me and my family will come down here and we'll park and we'll walk through here, and the kids will just have a blast, and we'll pick berries and do lots of fun things. But again, because you're low to the ground, it's really easy and really accessible, you know, to cut out of your neighborhood and make it down to the Greenbelt. In addition, if we're looking at the southeast, over here, you have, well, this is Bounds Crossing right here, which we were just kind of highlighting. If we zoom in on that, we'll look at that. You also have the public library right here. So this is going to be, well, this is going to be Bounds Crossing right here. And here you have food, dining, you have the Boise Fry Company. Additionally, you have the public library, which is just behind it here. You have a school, so you got Riverside Elementary. But this is kind of a hot spot right here. This is really forward-facing. Well, sorry, right here. This is really forward-facing. You got a bike shop, a candy store, which is really fun and interesting. In addition to that, there is a lot more new construction, and I'm keeping an eye on it, but it's happening right in this specific pocket. A main thing that we have here in Southeast is going to be Barber Park, which is a great park. This is where summer rafters will typically put into the river, and they'll float the river and go all the way through the heart of town, which is really fun. The river's really busy in the summertime. You'll have some shopping areas kind of strewn about. You're going to have an Albertsons right here. And if we move over here, you have Home Depot. This is a big area. You have like Home Depot, Fred Meyer's, Bed Bath & Beyond. You have Joann's Fabrics right here. You got KFC, some restaurants, like some bone repair places. Now let's go ahead and zoom out. The east side is really nice. I actually just had 2 people from the channel who reached out who were in town this last weekend. And it ended up being that the east side over there on the east end was a really good fit for them. One of the people that we were talking to was curious about Eagle and Meridian. They were wanting larger acres. Their price range was 1 to 1.8 million. And I was telling her a lot about this area specifically. And I had mentioned Warm Springs. There are some beautiful houses up in Warm Springs that have those larger lots, have beautiful views of the valley, and are newer construction. And so if you want to get that turnkey option, it could be a great option. But the east end is really interesting because it is, let's move over a little bit. It's butted up against the foothills, right? So these are all the foothills kind of right here, and you kind of see it all bottlenecks down. And then you have that entrapped by the river. So really, it's this area that is being, or has been, developed, just that little sliver. And it really bottlenecks right here too as you're coming into the city. Well, I should say it bottlenecks right here. This is also a really beautiful part of the city. This area more feels connected to the city, and then you can kind of see things bottleneck right here. There's not much happening right here. The hillside comes up right up to here, and then the river's right here, and then there's a road that kind of slips you through. Newer construction is happening out here, again with some older developments too, but it's a really interesting area. You got the Warm Springs Golf Course right here. You got the Idaho Botanical Garden. You also have the Old State Penitentiary, which is a fun thing to go visit. There's a concert area over here. And in addition to that, me and my family were over here picking up compost for the garden beds. And so the city has a drop spot where you can go just shovel in compost. Let's see, Kristen Armstrong Municipal Park. That's a really fun park. And there's like a wildlife area right in here too. And again, this is all butted up right against the Greenbelt. I'll actually zoom in on this a little bit. Here you have the MK Nature Center. This is also where the Idaho Fish and Game Wildlife Building is, but then there's also this kind of nature center in the back where you can walk around and see fish, and they've just done a really great job, and it's a great spot to take the kids. Up here, again, like I said, you have the golf course. Here, this is an older neighborhood. It's really cute, really quaint, kind of smaller streets, a very traditional kind of grid layout. You also have a school in this area with a community pool area with a really fun and big slide on it. So that's a great area. But here you kind of see you're really skirting the edge of town at that point. So if you lived in this area, in this general area, it'd be really easy for you to jump into town. You have a Chick-fil-A right here. You got Whole Foods Market. You got a Trader Joe's. You have a Winco just down the street here. The Capitol Building is just right up here in the corner. But this is a really great area. If we zoom out again and we look over here, I'm going to zoom in on this area right here, this is going to be the Mill District. And if having something within walking distance is important to you, maybe you want to be able to walk to restaurants or a coffee shop, or just have things close by that you can access, this would be one of those areas that you would be able to access right here. And here you're going to have a couple restaurants. You got the Still, I think I'm saying that right, the Still, which is an ice cream place. You got a sushi place. You have a coffee shop right in the corner. But it's really good access. Again, this is all flat, and so there's a nice trail or sidewalk, which I think is kind of part of the Greenbelt. But that can get you down to Barber Park. Down here, you have the Idaho Shakespeare Festival, which I personally love going to in the summer. I think it's great. It's outdoor. It's beautiful. I think one time we were there and you saw deer kind of walking across the lawn, which was just a nice little treat. You have East Junior School. There's another, I'm forgetting the name right now. It's not popping up. There's a charter school right here as well. But this road, as you see, it kind of continues down and then it deadheads right at 21 and takes you from there out to Lucky Peak Reservoir, which is a great spot to go in the summer if you want to cool off, play in the water. It's really fun. It gets used a lot. And the nice thing too is that the Greenbelt travels all along with that. And again, the Greenbelt is like a 25-mile trail that's on both sides of the rivers, the north and the south side of the river. And so if you want to walk out there or ride your bike or take an electric bike, it's a great option. So I remember last summer, me and the kids hopped on an electric bike and cruised all the way out to Lucky Peak and met some friends and had a really fun time. Now let's go ahead and zoom in on the north end. So the north end is just going to be north of the city. You got downtown right here. The north end, you're going to get a lot of older construction. You also have the Highlands right here. This is definitely one of the most coveted, expensive areas to live in Boise proper, I would say. And in addition, the homes tend to be a lot older, and typically the people who want to go there have an appreciation for older homes and the things that come along with older homes, i.e. plumbing issues or remodel issues or things like that. You're going to get smaller lots. You're going to be really tight and close to your neighbors. But with that, I know people who live over there, and things that they say is they just love the community feel of it. So I know a lot of people are coming to Boise and they're looking for that kind of tight-knit area. So the north end might be an option for you. In the north end, you have some great schools. You have the Boise Co-op grocery store. You also have Hyde Park, which is a great area. Think like old kind of brick buildings, all really tight, and coffee shops and restaurants and a bicycle shop and a candy/ice cream store and a toy store. And then all of that is really close right here to Camel's Back Park. Camel's Back Park is a huge park, and they have tennis courts, a play structure for kids. They got a big hill that you can climb. In addition to that, it's a gateway to getting into the foothills back here. So whether you're hiking or you want to go on bike rides, it's a great area for that. And then this road right here, this would take you all the way up, if you followed it, all the way up to Bogus Basin. I just did a film on Bogus Basin. It's our all-season kind of mountain resort. In the summertime, it's like mountain biking, hiking, scenic chair rides. And then in the wintertime, it's skiing, tubing, snowboarding, and things like that. And it's a great mountain. It's only about 45 minutes from town. Now we can zoom in a little bit on the west end, this little area just on the edge of the city. Something unique about this is its proximity. Its proximity to Esther Simplot Park. So this is this huge park area. There's multiple ponds, trails, and biking that cut all through it. The Boise Wave is also right here. Below the Boise Wave too, there are smaller rapids where kids can go boogie boarding, or maybe you could stand up on like a longboard if you wanted to. But again, a great place to cool off in the summertime. These ponds here too are great for paddleboarding, swimming, and just hanging out in. And in addition to that, there are two shops. One's about right here, and then there's another one, I'm gonna say maybe right here, where you can rent either surfboards or paddle boards or just any kind of outdoor activity item that you want to use on the river to have a good time. And then this area right here, the west end, this is just a really kind of small pocket just to the west of the city. Think older homes. Now we're going to look at Northwest Boise. So Northwest Boise is this very large area right here. The main street is going to be State Street that's cutting through it that you see here. And then you'll see other main streets like this one that will jump you across the river, right? Because the river's cutting right through here. And so anytime you got to jump it, you got to find a bridge. So there are certain sections that jump across. But again, State Street is going to be the main street that cuts through here. And then, in my opinion, one of the most, well, yeah, I'd say it's easily one of my top 3 drives is driving Hill Road right here, which kind of deviates and skirts up against the edge of the foothills. And it's obviously a little bit slower, but it's a beautiful drive, especially on a sunny day in summertime. Especially if you catch it in the morning when like the sun's rising, really pretty. But a lot of houses are kind of sandwiched in between Hill Road and State Street, as you can see right here. And then you get other stuff that is sandwiched between State Street and the Boise River down here. And then you're going to have a lot of options in terms of amenities, shopping, grocery stores, and things like that along State Street. And so this is a major area. I drive it all the time because I take my kids down State Street for school. But here you're going to have a Walmart. And also there's a lot of shopping right on this road as well. This side of the river, you got DB Supply. Pretty sure, let's zoom in. Pretty sure there's an Albertsons right there as well. Yeah, here we go. So here we go. We have an Albertsons. You got a Rite Aid. And then down here you have DB Supply, Panda Express. I think there's some tire shops also around here. If you live in this area, you're often probably going to this specific spot to get the things that you're needing for everyday life. All right, now I kind of zoomed out a little bit, but here we were just really talking about this area right here. But one thing I want to say too, this road right here, North Siemens Gulch Road, this will take you up to the kind of city dump, which is kind of right here. So I remember when I was doing a remodel on my house, I would often go out there to dump my stuff. In addition to that, if you keep going, you'll hit Hidden Springs, which is a really beautiful area. Video to come on that area. But other than that, this skirts along 55, which takes you all the way out to McCall, Idaho, and that area. And then there are some larger communities up in that area. So if you're wanting larger lots, bigger homes, that could be a really beautiful area up here if you don't mind the drive. All right, now we're going to talk about West Boise. So West Boise is going to be right here. Again, here's the city, here's the bench, here's the airport. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that. So West Boise, some things to note about West Boise. You see that it is bordered right here by 184 as it cuts into the city. So if you live in West Boise, it's pretty easy to get access to downtown. You would essentially maybe cut to 26 and then jump on, or you'd find an on-ramp. Like there's an on-ramp right there that swerves on. And then right here, you have the Boise Mall. And then across the street, you have some other things like Cabela's and Best Buy. But you're going to see a lot of shops in here. I will often go here for things that I need, whether it's Best Buy. I often find myself going to Best Buy. There's a Cabela's right here, which is a lot of fun. So this is the mall. And in there, you have like the Cheesecake Factory. You have the Apple Store. So if you need to go get your iPhone work done, you can go there. Here you also have Kohl's. So maybe you do Amazon returns. Kohl's is one of the drop stops for that. JCPenney's. JCPenney's is still around. You have the Nordstrom rack, Dave & Buster's. You have a Target right here. You have REI for you outdoor enthusiasts. You got an IHOP. But there are a lot of things just in this general area. So it's definitely a major hub for people. Really, no matter where you live, you're going to come there. But now as we zoom out a little bit, you kind of see again, this is the West Bench area in the blue here. You have Capitol High School right there. You got a Fred Meyer's, which is just across. This is this line that you kind of see the contours again. You'd think the line would be on 26, but this is kind of a raised bench. And so as you come off this, the elevation drops. And in fact, also there is a water canal that you can kind of see that cuts along this ridge right here. So there are some beautiful homes that run this ridge, right? Because they're getting a view of the city. In my opinion, this is one of the best views of the city. It's on these ridges because you're seeing the city, and when the sun sets, it's casting all the beautiful colors down on the city versus you just getting slammed with sunshine into your windows as you're trying to look out. So obviously, if your house is facing that direction, the front of the house is getting all the light. The back of the house is shaded, but you just see the colors light up. I love when I drive home at night from work and you see the foothills, and especially maybe if you get a little snow on them too, but there's just so many colors that can happen, and it's really, really pretty. It's quite a treat. Over here in terms of houses, you're going to have a lot of variety. You're going to have some of the nicer houses like I just mentioned on the ridge here. Some of these communities are really nice. You're going to find a hit or miss in terms of sidewalks. You're going to find a variety of price points. Things tend to be a little bit nicer up against this edge. Once you cross over certain streets, you'll get into some other neighborhoods that are a bit more affordable, but maybe lacking, some infrastructure like sidewalks or things like that. In addition, there are just some nice neighborhoods as you kind of see. There's some that are just really gridded, but then there are some that are kind of swerving around, which is kind of nice because then it can allow you the opportunity to maybe end up on a street that tends to be quieter versus one that is maybe getting used as a pass-through for other vehicles. Things I think about when looking at neighborhoods. But again, this is another major road, Fairview Ave, right here. You're going to find a lot of stuff off of Fairview, a lot of kind of smaller shops, not as big a shops that you're going to find here like Best Buy and things like that. But for all my tool lovers, there is a Harbor Freight right there, so that's nice. So if you're moving to Boise and you're a big fan of Harbor Freight, you have that. Again, you have another Walmart down here. Car dealerships are along this road. You have a Winco Foods right here. Right here, I think maybe right here you have like a grocery outlet and things like that. But those are some of the things that you're going to find in West Bench. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Again, depending on what you want when you move here will kind of help dictate. You can ignore that line I just drew. Now that thing's not disappearing. It will kind of dictate what you want. So things about this area is that you're going to find more affordability out in this direction compared to this area and these areas and really all this over here. It's going to get more affordable as you go that way. You're going to have still really good access to things though. So it's really easy for you to hit the city. It's really easy for you to hop on this and to hit 84 and get out of town, whether you're heading west or you're heading east towards Mountain Home. You're going to have great access to the airport still from being right there. If we zoom out, you could go from here. It's probably a 10-minute drive to the airport. It's a 10-minute drive from downtown to the airport. All right, now let's zoom in on the bench. So the bench is just south of downtown Boise, which you're going to see right here. And then you have the airport, which is just out of sight right there. One of the main roads, as you can see, is going to be Vista. I can move it here a little bit. It's going to be Vista. So again, this is the airport. This is also a major off-ramp for 84 and the airport. So all this traffic that's coming from the airport is either going to get on the freeway or maybe they want to go downtown, so they'll take this road Vista, which kind of deviates a little bit right there, but puts you straight into downtown. So this is a 4-lane road with like a turn lane in the center. There is a lot of construction that is happening on this road. Boise is also changing a lot of their zoning, and so you're seeing 6-story buildings being put up where maybe 3 houses were previously. In terms of grocery stores, you have an Albertsons right here. You have an Albertsons and a Freddy's. All of these are kind of major roads right here. That's a big one. Overland is a big one. Those are kind of your biggest roads, Vista and that and that. If you live over here, you're really close to Costco, which is right here. So no matter where you live, it might just mean a quick hop and a skip onto 84 and then you exit. Or if you live over here, you can just come up Cole and cut over to Costco. In addition, there's some really interesting neighborhoods. I'll pick one that really stands out. It's going to be this one right here. I call it the Robertson's neighborhood, but it's called right here Franklin Randolph neighborhood. This is a really unique neighborhood because it has a huge population of beautiful mid-century modern homes that were built. And so if you're kind of into that, that could be a great area. I had a client who was in visiting this last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and he had a couple homes that he was looking at all around the valley, and one of them was right here in Randolph Robertson's neighborhood. Let's see. Let's zoom in a little bit. So here you're going to have Bora Park. There's also Bora High School. This, again, if you move to Boise, you're going to get really familiar with benches. So again, things that are higher than other areas. This is one of those areas right here. This is a big drop off. So everything drops off. And again, of course, just like we see often, there is a canal that runs at the bottom of that drop off. So any homes on this edge right here have typically a beautiful view. They kind of overlook the valley. And that ridge, if we continue over, that ridge really continues all throughout this area right here. You got the Hillcrest Golf Course right here, but this is a really fun area to drive. So if you're somebody who's wanting like a view and you don't mind older homes, though there are some homes in here that have been updated and or just torn down and rebuilt. But this area is a great area all throughout here. Also, there is, if we're talking about ridges, I mean, gosh, there's more ridges that happen right through here. So this is another classic ridged area where you have homes, some on this side of the road, but a lot more on this side of the road. This is also right above Ann Morrison Park. But these homes have beautiful views over the cities. And again, they get that same thing where the sunlight is dropping on the foothills. And it's really gorgeous. Over here, this is a large cemetery. There's also a park that is right on this edge right here. Right here is some development that's starting to happen. There's a coffee shop, Wild Child, pushing towards the coffee shop. The Still, which is an ice cream place that's really great. So a lot of the community that lives in this area will come here in the evening. So if you were to live in this area and you were to go there, I would not be surprised if you would run into neighbors, and it's kind of a central hub meeting area. In addition, there's a coffee shop that I just learned about this last week that is kind of hidden right here. Let's zoom in, see if we can find it actually. I'm forgetting the name now. Oh, here it is right here. So let me scoot over. So again, this is Wild Child, which is like a chicken sandwich place in the coffee shop. Then you got train tracks right here. Petite Four is a great fish restaurant, which I think didn't make it through COVID. Now they're kind of doing a cart system. But here's Primal Coffee. I would encourage you to get the Primal Latte if you're into coffee. I think you would really appreciate that and enjoy that. But again, in terms of parks, you got the Ann Morrison Park right here, which is a huge park. In fact, we were just there this week with our kids on the bike. And then this is Catherine Albertson's park. Catherine Albertson's is more like a wooded park. Think trails, and there's a really beautiful canal that cuts through it. So the Boise River feeds right here, but then they take off of the Boise River and do a canal to help feed for irrigation. But it's a really, really pretty park to go walk through. This park is a lot more open. You have tennis courts and baseball fields right there. You have a dog park on this side. You have a kids' play area on this side. There's also, what is it? I'm thinking table tennis, not table tennis. Frisbee golf. So there's a Frisbee golf course that is just all over this whole area. You'll get a lot of events that happen there. The Hot Air Balloon Festival that we do every year in Boise, which is amazing. And I'm so happy the city does it. It's very, very unique. But you'll get that, and everybody takes off here. And the fun thing about the Hot Air Balloon Festival, it's really fun to, one, go down there and be next to it, but it's also fun to come up on this road, Crescent Rim Drive, and sit up here, because then you're really above the park, and it gives you a great vantage point to see everything. In fact, I remember one time I was driving home after the hot air balloon thing, and there was a hot air balloon. Oh no, we lost everything. There was a hot air balloon that was, I don't even know how they land those things. It just seems so sketch, but there was literally a hot air balloon coming down, and there's a Jack in the Box right there, and it was like, I almost wanted to pull over and just stop and be like, is this hot air balloon going to land on the top of that Jack in the Box building? I thought that was interesting. But when they come up, they just start landing all over the city. So it's like, you could have one like land. I mean, I don't think they want to land in your neighborhood, but I mean, they just land in the most random places. It's not like there's hot air balloon landing pads everywhere. So that's a fun thing about the city. And while I'm here too, I'm just going to mention hospitals. So let's zoom in. We have St. Alphonsus right here, which is going to be right next to 184. And I'll zoom out. So again, that's where St. Alphonsus was. And I'll mention this one downtown. One of them is a children's hospital. But we're going to be right here. We got St. Luke's, Boise Medical Center, and then Children's Pavilion is also right there. And some other things that I didn't mention when I was talking about this area, since I'm over here, is this is going to be the military reserve. And again, this is just all trails, great trails, either for cycling or hiking. And then we also have the Boise Bike Park, which is going to be right there. So think big jumps for BMX, or pump tracks for kids, or smaller jumps if you want to go jump around. But it's a great spot to come park and ride up into all these trails that are up here. So that's a great area. All right, now let's focus in on the little area of downtown. So this is the downtown area. Again, you have 184 that kind of cuts in, and then this turns into one-ways. So you got one way going this way, and then you got a one-way going this way. You got your Capitol Building, which is going to be right here. you have the Boise Zoo, which is a super fun thing to do. It's always fun when you ride on the Greenbelt and you look over and you see like a giraffe's head sticking over the fence, which is always funny when you're like, I'm like landlocked in Idaho and there's a giraffe. But that's a really fun area to go to. You have Julian Davis Park. You got a little pond right here. You can rent swan-like looking paddle boats if you want to go paddle. You got the Boise River right here. And actually, I forgot to mention it when I was talking about Southeast Boise, but we have Boise State University, which is all throughout kind of this area here. But back to downtown, you're gonna have a lot of great restaurants. There is great shopping, and there are a lot of great homes that are just kind of scattered, you know, along the outskirts of this area. Depending on what you're wanting, you could easily find it there. Me and my family will go down for either great dining at some of the great restaurants. Like if you come to town, you want to try a good restaurant, I'd encourage you to go check out the Lively. There are some donut stores. There are bagel shops. There are tons of options in terms of grocery stores, pizza shops, ice cream, coffee shops. The Boise Library is right through here. Again, the Greenbelt, like I've mentioned earlier, cuts along both sides of the river in this downtown area. And it's just a really fun area. There's just a lot going on in this area, and it's really easy to experience whether you're in a car, whether you're walking, or whether you're biking around. Just earlier this week, it was really nice, and though today it is snowing in the middle of April, and so Boise is just a curveball. You can get a snow. Like this week we got snow, but also, well, actually last week we got snow, and we did this week, but then also we got like 80 degrees where you're walking around in shorts and a flip-flop. So right now it's just flip-flopping back and forth. But this is going to be downtown. You have Payette Brewing. You got a couple brewing companies. You got another brewer right here. You have the Boise Bike Project, which is a bike store. There's a couple bike shops in town. There's just a lot of great things in downtown area. And you often will go down there, whether you're going down there because you want to or you're going down there because it gives you quick access to 184. All right, now we're going to look at South Boise and kind of Southwest Boise together. So if we look at the map, I'll zoom out a little bit. This is going to be South and Southwest Boise. And a main thing that's happening in this area is, one, it's bordered by 84, like you saw right there. But then another thing is right here, it's bordered by the airport. So you have to remember that you're going to have flight paths now. So a lot of the planes will take off, right? And they kind of cut like this around this area. So if you don't like being under planes, this could be a direct path. And then a lot of times too, the planes as they're coming in will swoop and they'll kind of land right here depending on their flight path. The nice thing is there's not a ton going on out in this area. It's really undeveloped, but being cognizant of the airport, this is going to be another kind of main intersection right here. There's a lot of stuff happening on Overland. Pad Thai House is actually one of our favorite Thai places at the moment here, and so we'll often drive out here and do pickup. We'll also come out here for Costco, or there's a tire center right there, or like a glass place that just replaced the front windshield on my Honda Odyssey. But there's a lot of stuff happening out here. In addition, if we move out too, there's a lot of things on this road too. More kind of just random shops that maybe you'll run out. Like I remember there's an asbestos testing company that's based out of here. And so if you're ever doing remodel work, which obviously you guys know I do remodel work for my own house, but I remember going out there to get asbestos testing on my house. In terms of what this area is like, you'll see you kind of have this big grid. Something unique about this area, and it's in other areas too, but you'll often have stop signs at these, and so you can often, come up and get stuck, and that's where people could probably complain about the traffic of saying, oh, when everybody's getting off work and they're taking 84 and then they get off 84, you kind of get stuck in these kind of gridlocks, and there's not a ton of other options and places for you to go, and so it can be a little slow. Out here, you'll really feel like it's country. You could easily drive, let's see, you could easily drive one of these roads, and it's just open land, undeveloped. But then all of a sudden, maybe you come around the corner and there's a plot of land that's completely developed with 100 homes. But there is a lot of room for growth out in this area. And in terms of homes, you'll be able to go out there and find new construction. You'll be able to find larger plots of lands. We had some friends who moved out there because they just wanted a bigger plot of land. They wanted to have animals and chickens and goats, and they had some trees on property, and they ended up creating a zip line that almost stretched the length of the property. But it's really fun. And they developed one section of the backyard where it's nice green and beautiful, and then made a fence, and then the back half is just like rugged dirt, like dirt piles and animals and chickens, and the kids just love it. So hopefully this gives you guys a good overview of Boise and the surrounding kind of pockets of Boise. Real quick, I know I mentioned parks, but I just kind of want to mention it again. There are a ton of great parks in the Boise area, and a lot of them can be connected to the Greenbelt, and so it's really fun if you want to access that if parks are important to you. But no matter where you look, there are just parks everywhere. I don't have time to dive into all of them. I mentioned a few, but there are some that just stand out, like Barber Park is really great, and Morrison is really great. Typically from there, you'll really frequent parks that are probably close to your home if that's something that you, or if parks are a part of your current stage of life. Also, another one obviously is going to be Camel's Back Park. That's a great park. And again, the foothills, right? You have these parks that are then connected to the foothills, but the foothills in themselves are, in my opinion, a great park to get out and just go explore. And briefly, I want to touch on schools, though we did mention a little bit of that as we were going through. But here's a website, niche.com, Places to Live, Boise, Idaho. And here they kind of list out some great public school options and talk about ratings, and they get reviews as well as private school options. In addition to that, we do have a handful of charter schools scattered all around the Boise area that all kind of, specialize in unique things within education. So there's lots of options for education, and then on top of that, there's a lot of freedom to do homeschooling if you don't want to do public or private or a charter school. Now let's look at some home pricing information. So currently the medium sale price in Boise area is $458,000, which is down from last year, down 14% year over year, which is great for people wanting to come in and buy. The market is starting to cool off and is becoming a bit more of a buyer's market. And also, if you're curious who's moving here, just know it's not just people from California, but it's people from Washington, Oregon, obviously California, Texas, and then some on the East Coast as well. And just for kicks, let's look at like one of the most expensive houses for sale right now in Boise and one of the least expensive houses in Boise. So here we go. This house is coming in at $4.9 million. So that's going to be right at the base of Warm Springs, and this is an area where a lot of new construction is currently happening up against the hillside. And this house hasn't even been built yet, but like I was saying, you can kind of see from here what the foothills look like. A lot of development has already happened down in this area. You got these green yards, but you can see that it is starting to happen on the edges right here. Now let's go to low to high, and we're going to go off, well, it looks like we got a couple options, but let's look at this one right here. Let's not look at this one. That's definitely a fixer-upper. Let's maybe look at 339. All right, here we go. This is a move-in ready option. So 339, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, just shy of 800 square feet, coming in at $339,000. And let's look at where this is on the map. Okay, great. So it's on the Boise Bench, and it looks like it is right off a main road, so South Curtis. But again, you can get a lot of variety out here in Boise. Hopefully this video was helpful to you guys as you kind of got an overview of the different areas, and hopefully it makes things a little bit more understandable for you. But really, when you guys come here and you're doing those initial discovery trips, I really want those to be as beneficial as possible for you. So giving you guys a good overview of Boise, and as I continue to give you guys information on the Treasure Valley, hopefully you guys become really equipped and successful on your trips out here as you're discovering if Boise is going to be right for you. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys are looking for help on your transition to Idaho, then feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is in the description below. And with that being said, I will see you guys all in the next video.